Happy Wednesday, y'all. What's happening?
What is up?
What's up, Mr. Meldrum? Happy Wednesday.
Oh, we're just out here slanging real estate. That's it.
Slinging real estate today. That is the nature of the game. Well, welcome, y'all. This is Michigan Live here on Wednesdays. We're excited to have y'all. Excuse me, my lovely assistant just brought me some water. Pulled me aside, but I'm here joined by my trusty co-host and co-team lead, my partner in crime, Mr. Eric Meldrum. What's up, Eric?
Not much, man. Got our plate full today, but we're gonna get this live on its way, and we got some good information today. I'm excited. We got a lot going on here in Michigan, a lot going on in real estate in general, and I think there's some major questions that a lot of people have, and we're gonna dive into that today.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into some of our topics we've got going on today, breaking down what's happening in Michigan. And it is that final stretch here coming into the school year in the state of Michigan where things start to slow down a little bit in real estate for those of you that don't know. This is historically one of those times where things start to slow down, but we're going to get into why. And not why in real estate specifically, but what everybody is doing right now. That usually drives that, because it is vacation season. That is in full effect, right? Everybody starts right when they get out of school, they make the bum rush, and then everybody kind of comes back. They tend to come home and then hang out there for a couple months. And then as August approaches, now everybody's trying to get that last push in before school year starts, right?
Yep.
So we see that pretty regularly. And I know Eric's got some cool spots, and I think we're going to talk about, one of the best vacation destinations in the entire country. I could be off base here, but that is in the state of Michigan, if you did not know. And if you didn't, we're about to help you out and inform you on that, because I'm excited to share what you got here, Eric. So talk to me, dude. Where are we headed first today?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like, everybody is in vacation mode, going back to school. We're trying to get more and more vacations in last minute, like quick trips. And, it's like, hey, we didn't do much this summer. Like, let's go on a quick vacation. And, a lot of those spots do exist in Michigan. And that's the cool part. I think about Michigan is you got so many different nooks and crannies all along the coast, in Michigan. And if you're not from Michigan and you're tuning in, this is how we tell people how to get around. All right, we just put our mitten up just like this, and we can say, yep, we're going to Traverse City, we're going to be in Detroit, we're going to be in Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, St. Joe. So all those places, you can just get around. But one of the most sought after, and this is cool if you want to pull up the article, one of the most sought after vacation spots, and this has been getting a lot of publications lately, is Mackinac Island, not to be confused with Mackinac. That's not how we pronounce it here. It's called Mackinac. So Mackinac Island was actually ranked #1 summer travel destination in the U.S. for all of 2023. All right, and there were some other pretty cool places on that list. If you just scroll down in that article, you can see what that was up against. Mobile in Alabama, Door County, Wisconsin. I'm not sure what's in Door County, Wisconsin. That'd be interesting to know. But
Dells, maybe. If y'all know, if you know what is in Door County, Wisconsin, let us know in the chat. All right, let us know in the comments. We would love to know, because I have never been to Door County. So that's a great question, Eric.
Yeah, and some people are probably saying that about Mackinac Island, like, well, it's just Mackinac Island, Michigan. What could be there? But it is one of the coolest places in Michigan. If you've not been there, it's an island that is stuck in time before the automobile, craze. There's no cars on the island. There's no motors for that matter. It's all horse-drawn carriages, and it's one of the coolest places we've been. There's really two versions of the island. There's really the tourist version of the island, and then there's the local version of the island. So most people are going to come on, get off the ferry, and you're going to get dropped right on the main street there, where there's fudge shops, restaurants, gift shops, everything. The carriages are going up and down. But for most people, that's as far as they get, on the island. They just go and do the tourist thing, hop on the next ferry, and go home. Right, load up there, and everybody who lives there calls them fudgies. So if you're visiting Mackinac Island and you just go there to get fudge, you are a fudgy. So that's what most locals call them. But the local side of it, there's so much more to do, right? If you can spend some time on the island, and I encourage you, if you're looking for a really cool vacation spot, is go spend the night on the island, maybe 1 to 2 days. It can get a little bit expensive, and that we'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you're looking for a budget, I would encourage you to go stay in Mackinac City and then do a day trip over and spend the night, at least one night on the island, right? Just to see what it's like when everyone goes home. Because after that last ferry leaves, and they only run certain times, after that last ferry leaves, the island completely changes its whole identity.
Yep.
All right. The streets aren't crowded, the restaurants aren't crowded, the lines are all down. The wait is basically nothing, to get in so many places. And that's where all the locals come out. The locals will start coming out to the local establishments after the last ferry leaves, to go hang out and do their thing. So it's really cool, and I would encourage you to do it. The other cool thing to do on the island is riding bikes. So, do a horse-drawn carriage, take a tour around the island, go see all the attractions there. Fort Mackinac is there, which is an old army base, on the island. And then they have, just the views are amazing. Have you taken the kids there yet, Juan?
No. So we had a place in Alpena, technically in Atlanta. So it was in between Alpena and Gaylord. Just for those of you who need a little bit of reference here, I got the map up. I'll show you guys because this is important to know. Michigan is a huge state, y'all. It's enormous, and I'm not talking about Atlanta, Georgia. I'm talking about Atlanta, Michigan. So just give a little point of reference here. You see this little guy right here? That's Atlanta, Michigan. You got Gaylord, which is right off of I-75, and Alpena, which we haven't talked about yet, Eric, but we'll get into this deeper. Another beautiful area. They've got the salmon run every year. Lots of things going on out there, but there's also a Mackinac City. So we used to go here, Eric, because I don't necessarily love being in like overwhelming crowds in the summer, and
overwhelming for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not anti-opposed or anything, but like when we were going up here, the kids were really small, and the whole ferry boat trip thing, like it just necessarily wasn't my vibe. But it's gorgeous, y'all. Right. So we've been to Mackinac City a bunch of times, and we used to go across the bridge, which is a whole nother conversation that we can have with you guys at a different time, because that bridge freaks people out. But the only way to get to the island, Eric, let's talk about that. Right. Like one of the fascinating things about this island is, again, there's no cars on the island. So that makes it unique. As you can see, how do you get there? Right. This is all the way at the tip of the lower peninsula. And then the upper peninsula connects by this humongous bridge. And like I said, we'll have another conversation on there. But in case you haven't noticed, there's no streets, right? So there's only two ways in, right? You either take a ferry to get over there, or you can fly in. There's actually an airport there, so really cool spot. And Mackinac City is like the Mackinac Island wannabe, is the best way I could describe it. They clean up all the tourists that don't ever make it over the island. But as long as I lived in Michigan, I never, ever have been there.
Yeah, it's cool. I would encourage you guys, if you're going that far north in Michigan, go check it out.
Yeah.
It's worth the trip over. The whole experience from the ferry ride over, which is not like, you think of a ferry boat and you think it's like slow. It's super quick. You get there within like 25 minutes. We actually went up there, and if you want to see some of the actual footage of Mackinac Island, we have a video. I recorded our vacation up there when my sister got married. It's on the channel. You can go check that out. It's one of the best vacation spots, as ranked by CBS in the whole entire United States. So we have some footage. You guys can go check that video out. But you take the ferry over, and then from there, you're just exploring, the island. So one of the big attractions there too is the Grand Hotel. So if you ever Google Mackinac Island, a lot of the pictures that you'll see are probably from the Grand Hotel. It's this huge historic building, and the porch is absolutely enormous. I think it's the longest porch in the whole entire United States. Like I think it holds a record for that. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I think I heard that somewhere. And it's absolutely massive. So people go there to get their photos. There it is. That whole entire front of that building is all a porch.
Yep.
Absolutely incredible. So within the Grand Hotel, they've started doing a company actually bought it, a private equity firm who invest in a lot of resorts and just travel destination places. They actually bought the Grand Hotel. A lot of people were upset about it because now prices have gone through the roof. Like I think like a couple nights at the Grand Hotel is like $1,500.
Wow.
Yeah, it's getting pretty steep. So there are some alternatives. There's some Airbnbs on the island. There's some other hotels like Mission Point
Yep,
Hotel,
Mission
which is on
Point.
the other side of the island. It's really cool. That's where we stayed when we went there. But again, it's one of those experiences. Like if you're going to go that far north of Michigan, you got to go check it out.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful area, man. It really is gorgeous up there. And as you head north, there's just so much to explore in the state. And that is one of the biggest drivers of the state, is like why people love coming. In terms of outdoor activity, it is, I mean, Michigan is on point. You know, you've been blessed enough to travel quite a bit. You know, California has so many gorgeous places to go visit and in different climates. And I mean, the state is so large, it literally has, 4 different climates inside of it. Colorado's another one of those areas that reminds me, like, you can just go do everything. And same thing in Michigan. You know, you can go to the dunes, you can go to the Upper Peninsula, you can go to all these rock ledges and just go see these lakes are incredible. And then when you go up in the UP, it's really untouched land for the most part. You know, there's always some place to go explore. There's trails all over the place. You know, there's animals. It's just gorgeous, man. It's a good spot to go hang out. Michigan does have a lot to offer that way. And if you've never been to a Michigan summer, you're missing out. You really are, because they're pretty incredible.
Yeah, you wait 9 months for summer. That's what we say in Michigan. You wait 9 months to get the best summer you can ever. I mean, it's absolutely great. Like
Is a fact.
if you're into 4 seasons, Michigan is definitely a great place. So you get to change. And here's the cool part, right? That nobody's talking about. You get to change your wardrobe every season, right? So if you want, the moody, fall colors, and you're going to do the pumpkin spice lattes and all that, and you want to wear your flannels and your hoodies, fall's coming. It's right around the corner, right here in Michigan. You're going to start getting those cool nights, and fall's going to be coming pretty quickly, and then you get into winter, right? Oh yeah, see what I'm talking about? $2,400.
$319 is where they keep the brooms every night.
Yeah, that's a shoebox.
That's for sure. That is the one bed cot they have in the back, where they put heathens like us, Eric. The $2,400 a night room. That's where the governor stays. Just so you know, like that's what's happening over there.
No, the governor has her own house.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So
the governor's mansion is there.
Yeah, that's the Grand Hotel. Again, it's so beautiful up there. The water and like everything about it, man.
There's a couple of golf courses up there too.
Mm-hmm.
Played a few of them. The 9-hole at the Jockey Club, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
If you're just looking to get quick 9 holes in and then grab some dinner or some lunch, that's really cool. And then they do have a full 18, in the back of the island too, which is actually, I would say, go play it if you want to do a scenic tour of the island, because it takes you in places that like you're not going to go as a normal tourist.
Yep. Yeah, let me pop back over the map again, just to again give you all some perspective. So you got St. Ignace and the UP up here, and then as you kind of dial in, you can see the airport. I don't want to get too crazy with the map, but that's the airport right there. You can see the landing.
Yep.
Landing strip, and then the Grand Hotel's on the south end of it here. And then you got Mission Point is over on this side. Obviously, you got restaurants. A lot of activities will be surrounding the lake. Fort Holmes, Mackinac Island State Park, Sugarloaf Mountain. That's a big destination as well. So everybody knows there. And then
the ferries come in on the south side of the island.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to go, and most people, when you go back down there, you don't make it past that first street. That's what I'm talking about. You just stay on like that first main street they drop you off on, because again, there's no taxis, there's no cars. The only way you're going to get around is either walking, on a bike, or on a carriage.
Yeah, you can see the golf course here, and you can see the green hashes. Those are pull you guys in a little bit closer. These are trails.
Yep.
So really cool area. Yeah, Mackinac Island. Trust me, everybody and their brother goes. I know I said I didn't, but everybody else goes. They tell me about it. All right, so Mackinac City was our thing. We've been to the UP a ton of times. Pictured Rock. We've done all the things in Michigan. We're going to show you guys more of this as the weeks come along, but we're excited to share with that. And hey, I realized that, for those of you showing up late, maybe you don't know who we are. My name is Juan Alcala. I'm a licensed real estate agent and team leader here with the True Living Group, and my co-team lead, Eric Meldrum. We help people buy, sell, relocate, and invest in Southeast Michigan and all over Michigan. If you're looking to move anywhere in the state, we can connect you to a great real estate agent, refer you to the areas that we don't serve, but we serve everywhere from as far west as Howell and as far east as the lakes on east side of Detroit. So we're here to serve. Rochester Hills all the way down Monroe. We got you guys covered. So do not hesitate to reach out on that end. Excited for it. But this is great, Eric. So thanks for sharing it. But let's take a look at the map. I want to back this thing out because sometimes people forget how big this state actually is. They're like, hey, I'm in Michigan. It's like the whole conversation. Hey, I'm in Florida. I'd like to come hang out. Well, where are you at? Well, I'm over here. Well, that's like 8.5 hours away. So like, we're not in the same ballpark, because you can make it through states like Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee in a day's drive. Right? That's 3 states. Well, you can't even get through Michigan in that time.
You can make it through Ohio in a morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Blink it.
From the bottom of Michigan all the way over to Wisconsin, if you were to make that drive, is over 10 hours. To give perspective, it is a long, long way. So just keep that in perspective as you kind of crank along here. But the state it's huge, So we talked about where we serve. This is our home base really here. So Eric's located right here in Brighton, right? I am from the Plymouth Canton area, which is right here. And then we've got team members in downriver right here as well. So we got you guys covered pretty well in that aspect. Like I said, we can cover from Sterling Heights all the way over to this Howell area here. Got you covered, no problem, all the way to the bottom of the state. And we can connect you to any agents that you guys need across the state as well. But I think it's important to kind of dial in on that. And for those of you that don't know, I just noticed this popped on the map. So we should probably talk about this really quick. Does everybody know there's a Christmas town in the United States? Did you know that?
They do now.
They do now. Did you know that there's a Christmas town in the United States and it's located in none other than Michigan? You do. You do now. We just informed you. This tiny little town, Frankenmuth here, which you're seeing right there on the map, off of I-75 on the way up to Mackinac. So heads up when you're making that drive up north there. People love to stop at the world's famous Bronner's, which I'll pull up here in a second, which is, and you want to talk about an event. Bronner's is something special, right? It is one of those places that I couldn't believe.
It's Clark Griswold's house on steroids.
Yeah. So Frankenmuth is known as Christmas Town, which is crazy to me because I had no idea. I lived in Michigan a long time, and I didn't learn this until I was in my 20s. My parents weren't Christmas Town people, FYI. We didn't do this as a kid, but as I got older, I started hanging around with young ladies, and of course, I got married at one point, and then it was a thing. We had to go to Bronner's and get ornaments made every year. Yes. Do you see that building? Like, this is literally, and it is massive. I don't even know how many square feet it is, but it is from tip to tail Christmas all day, every day, 365. Right. And if that's not enough, they have some of the best chicken on the planet up at Zender's. So another rite of passage. If you're from Michigan and you haven't been to Zender's, that's kind of a problem. It's like going to Ann Arbor and not going to Zingerman's. It just makes no sense. Everyone does it. Pulling it up right now. There's hotel attached, and it's one of those places that is just absolutely magical. You walk in and you know you're going to eat until you need a wheelbarrow to be removed from the place. Is that fair, Eric?
Yes, I have witnessed it quite often. Yeah, it can happen real quickly. Things escalate real quickly, and then the desserts start coming. And you're like, okay, here we go again.
Yep, it is just one of those spots, and Zender's website is giving us all kinds of crazy problems right now. There we go. It's coming up.
The Christmas rush is coming.
It is coming. So, like, what happens is as soon as fall comes here in Michigan, everybody shifts to pumpkin spice lattes. Fall is immediately happening everywhere. Everybody wants a nice crisp air. And Zender's is one of those places right on Main Street in Frankenmuth. And they have some of the most incredible meals. Yeah, that pile of chicken is for real. The mashed potatoes are unbelievable. And at the end, you get this orange sherbet. And I know I just get done talking about chicken, but it's a thing, right? So like, Eric, tell me I'm wrong here, dude. Like
I'm
you
just
get through,
I'm laughing at the kid's face. Like
yeah, yeah, you get
the,
through this whole
the kid's
meal.
face, like, oh man, that chicken's gonna be good.
I mean, look at this. Our guests eat around 950,000 pounds, almost 1,000,000 pounds of chicken a year. This
Oh man.
restaurant serves. I'm not kidding. It's unbelievable. It's not KFC. No, it's Zender's. And this place is just unreal. It does have great food, but I'm telling you right now, you wrap up that meal, you already can't move because they fed you 6 ways from Sunday. And they're like, here's a bowl of sherbet. You're like, oh, of course. That's great. I got room for that. And then you walk out of there and then you go buy fudge because that's what everybody does in Michigan. Can't help yourself, right? There's a great brewery up there. The Frankenmuth Brewery is up there. They got great beer, great little town. But again, Christmas town, go check it out. It's one of those places that is super kitschy, no doubt about it, but it is worth the visit, right? Especially if you're trying to do all things Michigan. You know, if you're anywhere near Frankenmuth and if you're on the way up north, all right, then you just kind of stop here. You stop at Tony's on the way up. As if anybody, I'm talking about restaurants. You want to know where to go to eat in Michigan? I got you covered. I can tell you every
You want to know where to
restaurant.
get ice cream? I'll tell you where to get ice cream.
That's right. Eric's got you covered on the ice cream, man. But like Tony's gives you like a 1 pound BLT. Yes, I said that out loud. Best of luck. And I think you get a t-shirt or something if you like don't fall over at the table and your arteries don't clog up right there.
Oh, it's making me sweat just thinking about it.
Dude, it is. It's one of those really, really tough spots. All right, enough of that. I went deep.
Everybody's hungry now, so
They are.
you guys ate dinner and go get that stuff.
We just wrapped up dinner. I love that. Well, Eric, let's talk about. We have an update from last week, right? So we were talking about what was going on in Brighton, but you got an update for us. So let's
yeah, one of the updates that we got, we're streaming into our Brighton group here, in Michigan. So it's something we do. If you're looking to move to the Brighton area, I'd highly recommend you join the group, Brighton Michigan Happenings. If you find a lot of value in there, find a lot of recommendations for places. Of course, you can always ask us, but it's always great hearing it from locals. And one of the things we touched on last week was, the Brighton downtown is going through a bit of a makeover right now, and it's really positive in terms of where the project's going, but it's a year-long project. So you can imagine all the twists and turns and offshoots of these things as construction delays and projects are trying to stay on track. But it also is very detrimental to the businesses down there. So, a lot of people have come together, rallied for these businesses, done some pretty cool things. And, we just want to shine a spotlight on that because if you are local to the area, Livingston County and the surrounding area, and you've been to Brighton, what a gem it is. The downtown area is absolutely wonderful. We're looking forward to the end of the project. But we hope that the businesses that are going to be there are there towards the end of the project as well. Yep. All right. So this is something I'm really looking forward to as this project wraps up. There's of course a ton of controversy around it. I'm not going to talk about any of that on this channel, but there is some updates that I wanted to share. So the first phase of the project, and they got you can go to this website here and it shows you exactly where they're tracking for the project, what was completed last week, what they're in progress, and what's being done next week. And really the summary of that is the first phase of the project is coming to a close, and they're going to be able to open up Main Street from Grand River to Heine Alley, and that was phase 1. So that's the first part of it, and that's really, if you're from the area, it's really from Lou and Carl's all the way down to Brighton Barn Grill and Great Harvest has been closed. So a lot of those businesses have suffered because of foot traffic, and the whole entire sidewalk was basically dirt and gravel. All right. So sales are down, things are down, for a lot of places. It's just really hard to get around. If you're looking forward to this being done, the street is going to be open next week. All right. And that's the really cool part that everyone's really excited for, is the downtown area is going to be open. The cement's poured. They're going to be pouring more as the week comes on, and it's going to be open. So they're going to start on phase 2, which is going to go from Heine Alley all the way down to 2nd Street. And they're going to start on that, side of the downtown area as well. So everyone's really excited about it. I just got reached out to, by the city mayor, who's, requesting more people come down, support, the downtown area. They're going to make some noise and make some announcements about it, because frankly, the businesses just need the help down there. Right.
Yep.
A lot of these business owners are my friends, and, I've talked to them personally. And it stinks to hear the stories about, nobody wants to come down or nobody's supporting because, it's hard to get around. And I get it. My wife and I and the kids have been down there, quite often. It's not easy to get around. Right. And that's the part that is really hard to overcome, is like, I've seen construction in other places and it was a little bit easier to get around. I'll be honest with you, but it's almost done. So
Yep.
that's the update on the Brighton Streetscape. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a really great revamp once it's all completed.
Yeah, and a note on that, y'all. So if you're watching this right now live with us, if you wouldn't mind, just mentioning your favorite local Brighton business, right? Putting that in the comment or the chat. If you're watching this later as well, and hit the like button too, because we want to bring awareness to this and really support them. Obviously, we just got through one of the toughest stretches in the United States history here, and businesses were already shut down. And then we come out of this, and while the repairs are necessary and you're trying to make improvements for the long run, right? It's easy to be short-sighted. It's very difficult to keep the end in mind, especially when it's hitting people directly in their pocket, and shutting down businesses. So, if you're watching this, give a shout out to your favorite local business. That way we can bring awareness. If nothing else comes of these live streams, we want to make sure that we're shining a spotlight on local business owners and local businesses, because obviously it's becoming a tougher and tougher environment to operate in. And when you have external forces pushing down on your business, it makes it really hard. So Eric, I appreciate you bringing this to light. And again, if you guys got a favorite local business in Brighton, or if you've ever been to downtown Brighton and you just appreciated the time and you had a great time, hit that like button. Let's put some eyeballs on this and really share this out to the state of Michigan and get people rallied around the cause there. So
yeah, and this is just one of many small downtown areas in the Southeast Michigan region too. Brighton, you got Howell,
yep.
You got cities like Dexter, Milford, South Lyon, Northville, Plymouth. Those cities are really similar. When you look at it, it's the downtown area, and there's a lot of history there, right? They started as small, like they were on the outskirts of Metro Detroit, so they started as more of a stop on the trades path, back in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they had this little small downtown. There's some history in each of these places, and that's how they were really developed. So Brighton is not the only city that's going through stuff like this. When people look at their downtowns, and they want that quaintness, right? And that's really the tale of two lifestyles in Metro Detroit. We have that conversation, every time somebody calls, like, "Hey, I'm relocating to Metro Detroit," and they look at the whole entire Metro Detroit map and they're like, "My office is in Novi, or the company I'm working for is in Farmington Hills." A lot of automotive, right? A lot of healthcare, a lot of education.
Yep.
So when you get your central location, you start looking at, okay, what's the ideal lifestyle for me? And then you start looking at the surrounding areas, and these conversations that we're having, it goes a little bit something like this. Okay, well, what do you want? Well, I want to be close to everything. I'd like a small, quaint downtown that, we can go to, that has parks, that has a lot of greenery. And a lot of these places have them. So as they develop, the infrastructure in these areas is nearing over 100 years old, in some of them. That was the case for Brighton. So of course there's going to become some change, some infrastructure change out, but that's also going to be progression, because more people are moving out of the dense metropolitan area of Detroit and moving to areas like this, right?
Yep.
Where they can get a little bit more space. So now we're faced with those progressions in these areas, and the city's like, okay, what do we do about it? Right? Well, we have more people living here. We have to upgrade the road infrastructure. We have to upgrade, the water mains, electrical, panels, like all of that stuff, right? It's city planning 101. Some are slower to do it. Some are quicker to see the change coming and get that done. So, I applaud Brighton for making the change. It was a tough decision. Like you said, timing was not optimal after businesses were just shut down for COVID, and now boom, let's, take another hit to them. But it's what had to be done.
Right. So, the only thing that we are able to do is show support, right? You show support by foot traffic. It is out of the way and inconvenient, but if you're able, it is a great time to go support those local businesses in Brighton that are going, especially downtown, right? So be mindful of that. Again, another way to support is to share this out, to bring awareness to it. Make sure you hit the like button. That gives the algorithm tells it that you guys like what you see here, and then it'll get more awareness on the cause. So we appreciate that. For sure. But I just wanted to give a little context there, Eric, about, in terms of location, because he's mentioning that it's, Brighton's really conveniently located, to the north of Ann Arbor. You are east of Lansing and Howell, and west of Detroit, as you can see. And it's right up this thoroughfare. So you can go from Detroit all the way over to Grand Rapids. As a matter of fact, you can go all the way to Lake Michigan from there, from 96. So it is a main thoroughfare through the state. And as a point of reference there, I would say over 60% of all of the population in Michigan lives below 96. So just to give you all perspective on like how many people are down here. And then if you really had to chunk it up, Grand Rapids, Lansing, and then of course, Metro Detroit, those are the big heavy horses where a majority of the population resides. So these areas are super important. As Eric was talking about trade routes, that's essentially what you have going on here. So really important to make note of that, but it is a convenient place to live. Brighton is, to me, when I was first shopping for homes, and I'm dating myself now, but when I was first looking for my first place, right? Like got married, it's time to buy a house. Like, man, my mom lives in Pinckney. She's got a beautiful place out there, which is to the southwest of Brighton. Beautiful place. Okay. On Chain of Lakes down here. We love it. See this like Hell, Michigan right here? That is literally right around the corner from my mom's house. Not kidding. So beautiful area that we grew up in, and I needed more than rural. I mean, it was 15 minutes to the gas station where my mom lived, right? Not a huge fan of that. Not really my bag. So when I started looking around places like Howell, places like Brighton, they had this really nice mix of like village style, I won't say urban, but this village style, like suburban lifestyle that you had access to amenities, but also enough space to where you don't feel like you're overwhelmed and just packed to the gills. And it was one of those things that I really enjoyed. And the architecture in downtown Brighton is something that I also really enjoyed, because you got some, Victorian homes from back in the day. Like there's some Queen Anne stuff there, like beautiful houses. And of course I couldn't afford that when I was, just coming out of school and starting my life. But like, man, it's a beautiful area, and having access. We talked last week about Kensington, and like, look how close it is. There are lakes all over Brighton. So like, you don't even have to leave to go and, live this outdoor lifestyle, but you have access to so much. I mean, literally within minutes. You've got the ski resort over there in Brighton, or you're able to go skiing there. You can go, wakeboarding, jet skiing. Like there's so many things you can do. You ride trails, run trails. Like you can take 4-wheelers out in the area. Like there's a lot going on in Brighton and in the surrounding area. So this is a very desirable area to live. Okay. So just to bring that in perspective, and people are looking for that, and it gives you access, because you can be in areas like Farmington, like Eric was talking about here, where there, TD's there. TD Bank has a location there, and the engineering firms are there as well. And then you're close to Plymouth, Canton, and you can be to downtown Detroit in roughly 50 minutes on average. Eric, is that about right?
Yeah. 45, 50 on a clear day.
Yeah. So definitely one of those places to take note of. And again, shout out to the businesses in Brighton. We hope you guys are able to pull through this, and more importantly, that it rewards you on the back end. Right. So like we'll keep making noise for y'all. What else you got on the dock, bud?
Yeah. So last topic I have for today. I don't know if anybody caught this. This was a headline that, I just looked at it. I'm like, is this a good thing, or is this a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to let you guys decide. I'm going to let you guys decide if this is something noteworthy, or if we're making a big fuss out of nothing. Right. But when I saw this, I'm like, man, University of Michigan is now, and this is not just University of Michigan, this is all Michigan colleges, from what I read in the article, but they are now allowing alcohol sales at the stadiums. So in addition to tailgating, all that stuff, you can now buy it. So for anybody that loves going to these games and wishes they could, go get a drink while at the game, it is now possible.
Not only that,
your
it's to
dream has
go.
come true.
This is the thing that I was reading here. I'm like, not only can we get a drink at the big house for finally, because I'm on that team. I'm like, finally, right? Like, that is awesome. I would love to have a beer in the big house. That is fantastic. So shout out to that. And if you're watching this, you'd love to have a beer in the big house, let us know. Also, let us know where you're watching from, guys. We really, really love when you engage. Ask questions. Let us know what you want to know about here in the state of Michigan, because we'll bring you those details. We'd love to share with the audience. But I'm a fan of this. So we will see, right? Only time will tell what it really means. But at the end of the day, University of Michigan's got a great crowd. I'm not too worried about, we've got knuckleheads either way.
Yeah, there's going to be knuckleheads. So in the article is actually kind of funny. They're like, well, this is going to stop binge drinking, before the game. Trust me, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But it's also another revenue generator, which is good for the university.
All right, hold on. Here it is.
Not that they need any more revenue, but
y'all
it's
can't
coming.
see that. How do we get closer than that? Websites don't necessarily allow you to zoom, but it says universities that sell alcohol at sporting events report that the number of alcohol-related incidents is lower than the sales that are legal in venues. So, listen, I'd love to see the data on this, because it says, that's what they say, right? They report. Who's reporting this?
Yeah, well, the incidences are the people trying to sneak alcohol into the stadium. Right now, those go away because it doesn't matter.
Well, this is another opportunity for the state and for the university to make a big chunk of cash. Let's be honest. So, but here's what I'll say: I am appreciative of it. So I'm here for it. Let's do it. I'm down. Are you gonna have a beer? I'm gonna have a beer next time I'm at a game.
Of course. Yeah. Who wouldn't?
That's right. There's no doubt about that. Let's get a little bit deeper today. I know last week we didn't go too heavy into to real estate, but I do want to get in the topic a little bit. I know we covered some pricing around town, and it is again, it's an interesting time with the amount of sales that are slowing down in general, and what's happening in the marketplace. But I really want to share some stuff with you guys. And since we were talking about Brighton, let's shine a spotlight on Brighton specifically, because it is a great time to do that. All right, what you're looking at here is Redfin, and I'm showing you what's happening in the Brighton housing market as of June. So this gets updated every single month, and forgive us, y'all, for not giving you minute-to-minute date. I'm going to give you week-to-week here in a second, but the way that real estate sales data gets reported is it's almost a month behind. They have to wait for all of the sales to settle and be recorded before they can share all the data. So it takes a little bit of time, and bear with me. I know some people's eyes are going to start to roll over, but here's what I've learned. An informed client is the best client, number one. And number two, I love knowing that what I own, I love knowing what it's doing. Is it increasing in value or is it depreciating in value? Those things are important to me, right? So if we can arm you with any information that helps you better understand what's going on in the marketplace, we're going to do it, right? Because we have so many clients right now that have these wonderful interest rates, 3%, 4%, whatever they are, and they're locked in on these rates. And maybe they want to move, but they're like, how do I give up a 3% rate to go get something that costs 10% more and at a 7% interest rate? Now, most people have no interest in doing that, or they can't, right? So knowing is half the battle, right? As old G.I. Joe used to say. And for us, we love to keep you guys up to date. So we're going to work through that together. But right now, this is what's happening in the Brighton housing market. Now, this is the city of Brighton, y'all. So when you see this number, if you live in the township, understand this doesn't pull your sales data in. And I want to make point of a few things here. Brighton, the city, is not very large, right? How many residents are there, Eric? Do you know?
Just under 10,000.
Under 10,000. There were only 11 home sales in the city limits last month. 11. So this number can look a little bit whacked, and that's what you're going to kind of see here on this chart. And I just want to make note of that, right? So when you look in January here, and it was the peaks, the highest sales, there was like 4 sales that month in the city. Okay, so of course the number is going to be skewed. So just kind of keep that in perspective overall as we look at things like this. But it's just something to take note of. Home sales are up 2.9% year over year in the city of Brighton. The median home sale is 360. Eric, you're not buying anything worth its salt downtown in Brighton for 360, are you?
No, not necessarily. You know, you got some condo developments down there, but that's, you know, those are going to be a little bit lower. You
Yep.
know, everything's going to be really 400 and up.
Yep. So right now in the United States, the median home price is right around 425,000. If we go single family, which I always like to look at, that is 445. So just to give you some perspective, we are just under, right? It's saying that it's 1.1% lower than last year at this time, which is the all-time high. June of 2022 was the highest median sales price in the United States in history. So for everyone who's been waiting for that monumental crash, it has occurred. It was a whopping 1.1% for single family.
Whoa. Huge.
And for
Huge.
all home types. So if you mix in townhomes and condominiums on that, it's 0.78. So not even a full 1% the way they aggregate the data there. So I'm showing this to y'all not to say home prices are going to go up forever. That's not the point. And I do believe what we are seeing is unsustainable. At some point, something has to give. But what that give is, no one quite knows yet. And anybody telling you they do just doesn't actually have the information. And I'm going to share that with you right now, right? I'm not just somebody's going to jump on the screen and just say things without doing homework. And I want to share some of that information with you guys, if that's okay. Eric, you good with that?
Yeah, I was going to ask some questions, and let's dive into that, because I think that's the big question that, you know, a lot of people have is, you know, what is happening in the housing market, and is the crash coming?
Yep.
You came up with a name for the crash callers.
Crash callers. Yeah, we're tired of the crash callers, right?
Crash callers, and you know, honestly, it's a valid question, right? So like, it's a valid thing. That's, if history repeats itself, those events may happen, right? But are we going to see something significant as the crash in 08?
Yep.
Right. Where that's really that's really the question.
Yeah.
Is, are the numbers going to look similar to what happened in 08?
Well,
right?
In my humble opinion, no, not a chance. Okay. And I know that's a bold statement. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. Go ahead and put that in the chat, and then I'll kind of walk you through why, right? I'm looking at data. I'm not looking at speculation, right? Our housing market is based upon supply and demand, period. And supply or demand has been stifled. Make no mistake about it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it hasn't. I showed you home sales being down. I'm going to read all the numbers here. Don't let your eyes glaze over. I promise you, I'm going to make each one of these numbers make sense. And we're not going through every single one of these cells. I just want you to focus on a few things. Okay. But housing demand is definitely down. Why? Well, interest rates are 7.4%. I think they closed out today at 7 point. Hold on, let me just that way everybody knows that we're sharing the truth all day, every day. 7.13 is what this number shows. Let me see if I can dial that in where y'all can see that. Hopefully you can see this here. 7.13% is what interest rates closed out the market today.
Up 0.03%.
Yep. But it is 7.13 for on a 30-year fixed mortgage if you've got a 720 credit score or better. So wow, that's all I gotta say about that is wow, because that is crazy high. Now let me make sense of this, and I want to share with you what the challenge is in our market. Supply and demand. I want to get back to that. Okay. If you have more demand than you have supply, you cannot have a crash or even a meaningful correction. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay. So that's one thing. Now, demand is down. You just got telling me, Juan, you just told me demand is down. Absolutely. Demand is down. However, supply is at historical lows. So both of these things have run parallel with each other. And because in a normal space, if you increase interest rates and they more than double in a year, which is what's happened, interest rates have more than doubled in 1 year. Okay. They were like 3.25 in June of 2022. And they are now 7.13, like I was just showing today. This is as of last week. So I just want to share with you why the number says here, right? This closed out last Friday at this. what is happening in the marketplace? Well, first thing is first, I want to show you what's happening here. So the active listing count in the United States, which is the second column here. I'm going to have to bring in some arrows. This column right here, the active listing. That means how many homes are for sale right now in the United States as a whole. That is down 8%. And you can see the trend line here over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, and this is year over year too.
Year over year. So that's what it says here. And yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Eric. Let me clear this off and say it. So active listing, when you see YY, that means year over year. So we're comparing the week of the 22nd of July to the same week last year in 22. Does that make sense for everybody? You here with me? Cool. So going back to our numbers here, active listings are down 8%. Well, like, okay, 8% down doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's been trending down as we discussed that number. So that's one thing. That's active listings. Okay, so that's all right. Well, we're down on active listings. Well, what about new listings? Now, here's the real problem. I read through this data, so you don't have to, but I'm going to show you here in a second. Do you see this trend line? How it's all negatives, Eric?
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to call that out too, because one of the things we look at with 2020, 2021, you know, in 2022, when we're comparing, this is what the data is compared to is 2022. There was not a lot of inventory in the market in 2022 either.
Nope. Well, I'll show that in a second as well. That's a great point. But I want you to notice this. This is week over week since last year. So we're going to go in column J. Double-digit declines. 52 of the last 55 weeks. I want to say that one more time out loud. Double-digit declines of new listings coming to the market. That means new homes being brought to the market for you and I to purchase have been down double digits for 52 of the last 55 weeks in this country. And oh, by the way, there was one positive week in September of 22 last year. But besides that, everything was negative. And you can see right here, I didn't say that anything else was positive. You have one positive week. The other 4 weeks that we're talking about there that are missing, this one was positive, totally random. And then the other ones were only down single digits. Why is that so important? Well, if you're, again, supply and demand is being stifled because of the cost of money. Interest rates are so high. But because homeowners have 3% interest rates, a 4% interest rate, or they don't even have a mortgage, they're not willing to sell right now to go get a 7% interest rate. So you've got this machine that's feeding itself. And I saw a video the other day where a guy was talking about this. He said that the Federal Reserve put a poison pill in the real estate market with these ultra low interest rates. I think it's a pretty aggressive statement, but I tend to agree with it, right? Because this is the foreseeable future. People do not want to give up those crazy low interest rates. So that's one thing. Here's the other thing I want you to take note of. If we go over in this column here, the median days on market, that means essentially on average, how many days from a property being listed actively for sale to under contract. Look at these days here. 15, 13, 14, 13, 12, 13, 13, 13, 10, 9. There are so few homes available on the market in the US that basically everything that is worth purchasing is being gobbled up. Okay. Now, what does that mean for pricing? What's happening on the other side? Well, the median list price, if you go back to the first column, is now flat. Okay. Last week, sellers were asking about 1% lower than they were the year before. That was the median asking price. Okay. The week before that, 0.2. The week before that, 0.3. It hit flat. Right. Which means that sellers essentially, right, are getting what they're asking for homes. Now you come over to the price reductions. This is something to take note of. When interest rates first started climbing, we saw price reductions start skyrocketing. And I'll show you where. You guys see these numbers in this column here, the L column, the last one, 121% price decreases. They increased by 121%, 166% here, 164%, 170%. Price decreases were skyrocketing. And then Right around February, the market started to turn. Okay, 170, 155, 129, 130, 89 as we come into the spring. Now you get into the summer selling season. May is typically one of the best months. Price decreases had dropped to only 40% as opposed to 170. Then we came into the end of May, 8.7%. Oh, then we got into June, and price decreases are actually going negative. So there's less price decreases now than there was the same time last year by 1%, by 7%, by 22%. Now we're all the way up to 30%. And we're seeing sellers on average get almost 101% of the asking price again, which means we're back to multiple offers. And the reason we're back to multiple offers is because we don't have new listings. Go back and see this column here. That makes sense?
This is the data that everybody needs to look at really to understand what's going on. There's some other factors that are coming into play, too, with the real estate market that aren't as apparent, from looking at this, because like you said in the beginning, most people believe supply and demand are fluctuated based on the mortgage interest rate and housing prices.
Yep.
Right. And they confuse that with supply and demand, right?
Yep.
Mortgage rates go up, prices come down. All right. Well, this is the first time in history that has contradicted that type of thinking.
And that's because of supply.
Right. Period. And that's because of supply. Yep. So not only do you have the folks who are at a 3% interest rate, and not to mention all the people that refinanced during that period too.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So you have a large chunk of people that are sitting, whether you moved or not during that time period, you likely took advantage of the interest rates and refinanced.
Yep.
So those people are not going anywhere. That's called the lock-in effect. Right. Write that down. The lock-in effect is real. People don't want to give up those low interest rates, and I don't blame them. Right. Why would you want to go from a 3 to a 7? You're almost doubling your mortgage payment, for maybe an extra bedroom, maybe another office in the house, little piece of land. But most people still have to move. Right. There's also things that are going on: death, divorce, right, relocation for a job. All of these things are happening. Yep. The other thing that nobody's really talking about, I want to talk about it, here is what's happening with institutional investors, right, and institutional buyers in the marketplace. Okay, when mainstream media is telling you that there's going to be a housing crash, right, and there's something's going to happen, they're telling you to look over to the right and be very curious. I'm not saying be a skeptic and be a weirdo, about this. Just ask the question, like, what's happening on the right? Right. While all that's happening, institutional investors are still buying single family homes at a rapid rate, despite the interest rates and despite the prices.
Yep.
Right. All cash purchases last year equated for 25% of all deals in the U.S.
Yeah. And
right. So that just assume a portion of that is the boomer economy that has the cash available from selling their home that they own for 20 some plus years, and they've downsized or bought a secondary home, or the remainder is institutional investors.
Yep.
Right. And those homes are not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. And Eric, I want to point this out. Eric's making a really good point, right? We've been hearing about these big companies like BlackRock, and they've got these REITs, right? These real estate investment portfolios that they're purchasing, right? Investment trust is what it refers to, but that's only one portion of it, right? Like, let's just stay with the basics, right? Eric is going to high level stuff, and we need to cover that. We'll go deeper as these weeks go along. Like, we'll really bring the data for you guys, but I want to stick with the supply and demand conversation, right? Because Eric, okay, so we've learned how to identify that there's a problem, right? That's what I'm saying right now. But like, what is the solution? Okay, so here's the interesting thing. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates so high. And what's interesting now is basically the last part of inflation in the economy is food. That's one portion of it. But the highest part of inflation in the economy right now is housing. So here's the paradox. Because you're raising interest rates at incredible rates, they've never raised as fast as they did here. And now mortgage interest rates are double what they were a year ago.
To stop inflation, right? to stop inflation.
You're the reason why the inflation now exists. And y'all, just so you know, government is the only reason why inflation exists, period. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. You can argue with me all day. Go ahead and put that in the comments. I love to have that conversation, right? That government causes inflation. And this is perfect. Now, Federal Reserve is neither federal nor does it have reserves. So I understand that. You're going to say, Juan, they're not part of the government. You're right. They're not, but they are definitely put in position to do their job by the government. So I want to be clear on that. So how do we fix the supply and demand problem, Eric? There's only two ways that we can fix this problem right now. Okay. And we need at least one of them, if not both of them, to occur in order for us to get more inventory. All right. So number one is we need people to lose their jobs. And I don't know about you guys. That's not a road that I really want to go down. Personally, I think that is a terrible thing. And if you listen to the Federal Reserve talk, he's told you that he's not done doing that yet. Right? He said their mandate is maximum employment. They don't tell you what maximum employment is. If you go to the Federal Reserve's website, it is ambiguous for a reason. Because maximum employment right now is less. Well, maximum unemployment right now is more than 3.6%. That's low for the United States. Look back here. Okay, so here's 2009, right? Here's obviously what happened with COVID. That was nuts, right? Over 13%. But on average, right, go back and look all the way back to June 2003 is at 6%. You know, you got to 2006, it was down to 4.4. And then as we kind of came along, 7% in 2013. Into 15, it was down to 5%. I mean, these were considered good times, 3.8%, 4%. I mean, we had 5% mortgages back in 2018, right? No one was really complaining. It was fine, right, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
What a big deal at 4% unemployment. Unemployment is too low right now. They've got to put more people out of work. Why? So then they can't pay their bills. So then we can get some inventory back. That's not a road that I want to go down, but it's the only way we can do it. And the other problem with this is our economy is actually growing. The gross domestic product went up. It was up over 2% over what they projected last month, right? The numbers just came out. So how is unemployment going to go down if your economy is getting stronger? That doesn't make sense. It won't work. So that's one way. The other thing is you need builders to build more homes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric.
Big time. Yep. That number is teetering. The shortage of houses in the U.S. is teetering somewhere between 5.5 and 7 million homes. They estimate that we're short, right? So when you look at, you know, back in like the 50s, 60s, and even into, you know, the early 2000s, they were building a house basically for every newborn that was coming, you know, into the world, or into the US, I should say. That hasn't happened since 08.
Yep.
Builders basically took that pause and like, yeah, we're not going to get stuck holding the bag on this ever again, right? We're super cautious, and we know it too. Just, you know, they're not building homes, but most builders are not even building spec homes without a contract.
That is
right?
That is what I wanted to get to. That is exactly where I wanted to go with this. Thank you for leading us there. Eric just nailed it on the head. In 08, prior to 08.
This is why we work so well together, guys.
Yeah.
We're in lockstep. We didn't even plan that.
But in 08, Eric, you remember this. I want to make sure I got this right. Oh, my screen's all out of whack right now. Forgive me, y'all. We will get this thing dialed in. Okay. So in 08, if y'all remember this, prior to the crash, builders were building homes. They called it spec, right? So they would build a home prior to having the contract in hand. They were doing that everywhere. I remember they were putting up homes like they were building, like they were popping M&Ms, right? That's the best way I could describe that. Like it was like a box of candy, man. If they got a piece of land, they were putting as many homes as they could. They build it and they will come was the motto from like 2002 all the way up to 2008, right? 2006, really. Well, now, and I want to show you this data here in a second. Now they get a contract and they build the house. It's entirely different, right, bud? Like it's an entirely different approach. So where is this boom of new houses? When first of all, we were down millions before we went into this last real estate cycle boom where people need to move. Listen, y'all, millennials are the largest generation on this planet. Gen Z is huge behind them, and baby boomers are living longer than ever, and they are aging in place. Housing is an issue. Okay. I want to go back to this. This is before the crash, right? Going back to 2008, as you guys can see here, you can see how many homes we were building on an annual basis, right? This is based upon this chart. Here's right. 2006 is basically where the bottom fell out. Y'all can see it. Then the chart completely hit the bottom, and then they stopped building homes. Right? They stopped building homes. This is by the millions, by the way, is what that chart represents. And then we've slowly but surely started building homes again. But if you look at this line here, we are still not anywhere near this peak. And we needed to be at this peak. We actually needed to be that high. So I think it's important to take note of it. So I bring that up because you can keep suppressing demand and eventually it will break. It's unsustainable. People can't afford, $600,000 houses at a 10% interest rate. It can't happen. The question is it going to break the economy first? And it's not showing that right now. And builders, again, if we keep raising the cost of money, Eric, does it cost money to build properties?
Yeah. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Are builders paying cash for 200 acres and building all the infrastructure and putting all these houses on the ground in cash, or are they most likely borrowing money to do that?
Any smart builders financing that?
Well, most of them have to. I don't know many people that got $200-300 million laying around to develop 200, 400 house neighborhoods, right? So in order to fix this, we've got some challenges to overcome here until we get our supply issue fixed, which right now the easiest way out of this looks like killing jobs. I don't know that they're going to do that. I pray that that's not the case. But what I see right now is this is our housing market for the foreseeable future, period. We're going to be in this weird limbo land of 6 something to 7 something interest rates. Houses inventory is going to be super tight. Every home that is move-in ready is going to sell very quickly because the pool is so limited. And, there's going to be fewer and fewer home sales. And this is why new construction is booming. Existing home sales in the United States were down almost 25% in June, and new construction was up 23%. It makes sense. They're giving better deals. They have better rates. And we'll wrap up with that tonight. And here's what I want to let you know. We've got new construction here in Southeast Michigan. We've got new construction in the Brighton Howell areas and the Ann Arbor areas. These builders they're working deals right now. They're giving cash incentives to close. They're giving credit on towards purchase price. And the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now is they are giving a reduced interest rate for you to come and sign a contract with them. And if you reach out to us, we can help you negotiate even a better deal on those interest rates, because what most people don't know is you can take that cash that they're giving you to close, those cash incentives, and apply it to your interest rates and get them even lower. We're seeing clients right now get 4.75 or a 5% interest rate on new construction.
Yep.
And on a $500,000 house, that matters a lot.
Yep. Yeah. The one thing I want to say about that, I played sports growing up, and, basketball was my main sport. And there was a saying in basketball, the best offense is a good defense. And that stuck with me pretty much my whole life. I've always looked at it that way of if you can just defend enough, you can go down court, get a basket. But let me tell you, that does not work in this real estate market. Okay. It does not work. You want to wait around to see what happens. People in 2020 and 2021 were saying the exact same thing. All right. This is crazy. I don't know why people are paying $30,000. And I get it. Right. Nobody could have predicted what was to come out of that. Right. So it was very relevant, to the time. But now that we've had enough history to really look at that and say, okay, this is why that happened. These are the economic factors that made that happen. Right now, we're looking at it the same way. Right? How can we still get in and make a great investment in your future if prices are going to continue to go? And if you want a real world example of real estate prices going to extremes, go look at what's happening in the Canada real estate market.
Yep.
Right. Huge affordability issue over there. Right. They're living it right now. We're not too far behind that, in most major cities, so just be aggressive with it. And everybody's out to make deals, right now. The builders are out to make deals. They want to move inventory. They want to build houses. They want to keep things going.
Yep.
Right. If they come to a standstill and nobody's buying homes,
we're in trouble.
Right, they're going to shut down. And this is the thing that is going to happen. it's going to get worse. If that happens, things will get worse.
Yep.
If builders are not building and they're not in business,
We
have no chance of making that supply up.
Facts. My man is dropping gems right now. Right now, this is ifs and buts and all the things. I get it. But what is real? Low supply, right? We still have demand, and whatever's there is pent up. So lastly on this, if interest rates if the Federal Reserve starts to shift gears, let's say in 2024, interest rates go down to 5%, right? Y'all, what do you think's going to happen to all those people that have been sitting on the sideline waiting to get in the game? They're going to rush out and try to buy houses. What happened last time that happened? Home prices went through the roof. We already have an affordability issue. Again, I don't have the solution for fixing it outside of building more homes. We need less regulation, and we need to be able to start building houses at a much quicker pace, because the average break ground to contract is like 18 months.
Yep.
18 months. Like, what in the world? Who's going to fix that? So, not gloom and doom here, folks, but always trying to share perspective and the truth. Right?
Yeah, it's really important to us. Like, we're not sharing this to, give you guys the negative side of real estate. Like, this is what's happening behind the scenes that you don't hear.
Yep.
And we're just giving you the honest truth, right? This is our look at it. You may have a differing opinion about what that looks like. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to have that healthy discussion, around what that looks like for you, and talk about it more. So we welcome that conversation, but this is what we're seeing from the data. And we want you guys to be educated, going out there and making that move. Or if you're relocating, here to Michigan, definitely reach out and get a hold of us. We can help.
Yep. If you're local considering selling, it is an excellent time, especially if you're downsizing. You guys do have a lot of options, because basically you hold the keys right now, literally and figuratively. So it's a great time to consider selling. On the purchase side, it's a little bit more challenging, but reach out to us. Like we said, we've got ways to lower those interest rates. We've got great lending partners, and they've got programs. We can help you guys on all fronts there. If you're looking to relocate because of work, or you just want to be in Michigan, reach out to the team here. We've got your back. All of our contact information is going to be listed down below. We'll even put the links to the information we shared tonight, all of it, right? So if you want to go do that, like I said, an informed client is absolutely the best, because data-driven decisions at the end of the day are the best way to make moves, period, right? Our feelings can get in the way of a lot of things, and especially people with opinions who don't do homework. And last time I checked, those people don't pay my bills. They don't put a roof over my head. So for me, I got to make qualified decisions for me and my family. So our hope and our prayer is that we're able to help you guys, get to some information that can help you make those qualified decisions. And we're grateful to show up and share. Again, shout out to Brighton. Go support those local businesses. We want to be on top of that. And if you're local somewhere, again, let us know where you're watching from. If you guys would like us to talk about a specific topic here in Michigan, do not hesitate to put that in the comments. We'd love to do that. And Eric responds to all the comments personally, FYI, right? So we don't have an assistant or some kind of bot. Well, you can consider Eric a bot, but we don't have a bot on there responding. Yeah, it's responding to those. And if you need to know where the best ice cream shops are in Southeastern Michigan, do not hesitate to reach out to Eric, because he's got your back on that. And with that, I think we're all set, man. Any final words for the audience tonight?
No, appreciate you guys tuning in. This is great. This is our second live, and we love doing these. Again, to bring value for you. So thanks for watching. And again, if you have any specific topics that you want us to cover, just direct message us or drop it in the comments, and we'll be happy to do it.
Absolutely. Until next time, we'll see you all. Have a great night. God bless.